damn. So I'm trying to get off social media, man. But underneath my videos, look, here's the thing. I get it. I've had so many people have unsubscribed. So many people have left me so much negativity. Nothing's going to get me down, folks. Okay? Because now, nobody really knows what I'm going through, but I'm not a crybaby. I know that I'm going through a really hard time in my life for the last few years, but it's a blessing from God. And I know that. That's why I've had a hard life. And this hard life has been a blessing from God. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't hate anyone, no matter how much you hate me. No matter how much derogatory or negative things you say about me, I'm not going to do that to you. I am going to pray for you. And I really mean that. I can tell for the various reasons that people are suffering. You know, I don't blame it all on diet, but I do know that the nature of what's going on in your colon. There was this one lady, she hates me, she's calling me all these names and stuff, and I go over to her page, who is this person, you know? And it's just all cookies and baked goods, you know? I gave up white sugar like, I don't know, 29 years ago. My parents bought me a juicer because my girlfriend broke up with me. I started going to the gym. I started trying to get sober. It took me quite a while to get sober. I'm still working on it, you know? But my parents bought me a juicer. Then I started reading health books and stuff. And I read about pesticides, and I just went organic like 30 years ago. And then I was reading about sugar, and I just quit eating sugar. You know, it doesn't mean I've been 100%, but more like 99.7%. You know, sugar-free, where I think I was in Thailand once and they were putting sugar in the raw sauces, okay? Because that's just what they do there. That's what I found out later. It's raw food, but in America, you don't put white sugar in the raw food. But in Thailand, they put, you know, white sugar in the raw food sauces, okay? So little weird shit like that. But that still doesn't mean that I'm going to, you know, so if somebody is eating all those processed carbs with all of that glyphosate, you know, and all those colorants and additives and sugar. So I'm just saying, like, the quality of your colon affects your life. And that's why I've been trying to help people, even my friends. Like, literally, they are grumpy. You know, my friends are grumpy. And you know, I'm a little grumpy too sometimes, shit, man. But basically I'm happy. And basically what I won't do is I won't spread hatred. People need to know this. I want everyone to know this about me. You can hate as much as you want. You can hate men, you can hate white people, you can hate masculinity, you can hate President Trump, you can hate conservatives, you can hate. You can be offended. I've never been offended. I've never been offended in my life, so I don't know what that's like. Number two, I don't hate anybody. I have no contempt. Like, all the things that I've been through with women, I don't hate them. There isn't a single girlfriend that I can think of that I've been with ever since I was 14 years old when I started dating. There isn't a single girlfriend of mine that I can think back to that if she called me right now that I wouldn't help. If she said, hey, I need help, you know, and if I could help, I would help. Even though, you know, half of them I broke up with, half of them broke up with me. We all cheated on each other, you know, and that never bothered me either, you know. I mean, I was always an old soul that was just like, look, humans are humans, man. And I've always been very forgiving. Even of my parents. Now, sometimes I have a hard time forgiving myself. I'd rather be hard on myself than anyone else. Here's the thing. If you embrace your own darkness, you will shut the fuck up and leave everyone else alone. I know the people that are doing the work because the vegans that are doing the work are not pissed at the carnivores. The carnivores that are doing the work are not pissed at the vegans. The carnivores that are doing the work are not pissed off at the other carnivores for not being carnivore enough. I watched this crazy video yesterday. The vegans that are doing the work are not pissed off at the vegans for not being vegan enough, because if you are paying attention to yourself, you know you don't have one solitary second to waste on anyone else. Why? Because you have a lifetime of work to do until you walk on water. You've got to continue to do the work of self-analysis and self-transformation through the process of dissolution and surrender. So that's why social media is such a fucking shit show. You have to forgive my language today. I'm not mad at anyone, but it is, I get a little dramatic. It's all part of the show, kids. So don't freak out. I love Jesus, okay? But I won't cram Jesus down anyone's throat. It's a personal, private relationship. I love my diet. I still haven't mastered it yet, though. But I also have learned to be balanced at the same time. And I don't care what people eat. I don't hate people for what they eat. I don't dislike them. I don't judge them. I give everyone freedom to be who they are. Even if you hate me for who I am, I give you freedom to do that. But I can make you this promise. I do not and will not refuse to let hatred into my heart in any way, shape, or form. I refuse to condemn. It is not my job. My name is Daniel. Do you know what that means? That means God is my judge. God is the judge, or the universe if you prefer that. But nobody is escaping the law. Every hair on your head is counted. Every thought that you think comes back on you. Every contempt and condemnation that you have for another human being is simply a condemnation and a contempt for the darkness within yourself that you have failed to embrace. That's why this whole love and light shit, it doesn't work. It's a false narrative. It'll keep you looping forever like a dog chasing its tail on one of those dumb videos. Love and light, love and light, love and light. Who cares about the love and light? That's the easy part. You know what the hard part is? Is looking at yourself. Not only looking at yourself, but sitting with the darkness and the pain until it turns into peace. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to this one. I know how hard it is, and I know how easy it is to distract. And I know how subconsciously what we do is we build all of these distraction mechanisms. And they're all very subconscious. The drinking, the smoking, the partying, the shopping, the gambling, the social media, everything and anything to avoid looking at your own pain. But you will loop and loop and loop and loop and loop, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and you will never get free. But when God gives you the grace of the pain and the suffering that you cannot escape because your awareness has expanded too much, then you can say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for these difficult experiences. Because then you're forced to do the work. Until then, you're walking your dog, you're smoking your weed, you're drinking your alcohol, you're eating your cookies, and you're avoiding your own self, and you're projecting out onto everyone, which is a very clear indication that you have yet to do the work. You see what I'm saying? It's so obvious. That's why I accept all the human beings. I might make a dramatic video like this. It seems dramatic, okay? You know, it's just part of the act. But yet, on a level, you have to ask yourself, does this guy mean this? He could sit with a cowpeen and cross my legs and have some kind of golden throne behind me or something like that and call myself Swami Guru Danananda, or I can just talk to you like a regular human being with a few curse words, and try to get my point across that no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, even if everyone unsubscribes from me and everyone in this world hates me for being white, for being a man, for being a conservative. I was a Democrat my whole life, okay? For whatever, it doesn't matter. I will never hate you. I know who and what you are, even if you don't. I can see it in you. The problem that we have is that you haven't seen it yet, and you don't know what you really are. And that's what I call the path of dissolution. Because once you're willing, strong enough, courageous enough, brave enough, and willing to surrender all the falsehood that you cling to, you can have the truth. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about diets. I'm not talking about these concepts. In fact, before you find the truth, you're going to have to unlearn everything you think you've learned. You're going to have to surrender everything you think you know. And that's the only way to realize the truth. You're going to have to embrace the light and the dark. That's why I call it the lightless light. And that's where we have gone wrong, my young Padawans. No one wants to look and feel and embrace and dive into and sit with their own pain and discomfort. It's so much easier to project out onto others, isn't it? That's why I'm going to do nothing but practice love. And when I fall short, I'm going to forgive myself, apologize to whoever, and I'm going to get right back on the track of love. Love, love, love. Love and acceptance of all human beings where they are. And that's it. And I'm not going to be anything other than that. I'm committed to unconditional love. And I don't care about all the problems in the world. In fact, I don't even see them. I know they're there, but that's not the frequency I'm on. I'm looking for solutions within this one. Look and take the time to fix yourself, and you won't, if you're really doing everything you can to be the best that you can be, to be the most divine, pure, holy, wholesome, true, and real being, you won't even have 1 second to waste looking at other people. So no matter how many people attack me, no matter how many people hate me, no matter how many negative messages I get every day because I use clickbait and I'm having fun and I'm succeeding at life in the game. I mean, don't hate the player. Hate the game. Play the game to win. You know what I'm saying? You can't escape it. You might as well just win. There's a way for you to do that. It's so easy. I wish I could explain it to people, but it came through a lot of pain and a lot of suffering all the way back from the day that I was born, you know? And I don't have a sob story about it, because the whole thing was just a blessing from God to get him to this place where it's at now with this consciousness, which is awesome, which I'm really glad that I don't hate anyone. Seriously. I understand people, and I understand how difficult this is, because I had to sit with the darkness and the pain. And there's still plenty of opportunity here for even more evolution, for more dissolution. And that's the only thing he's committed to. He's lonely as hell, But I would hate to be distracted by a woman that isn't on the same trajectory of, praying for purification and then suffering through that process, where there are pleasant days for sure, but there are many, many unpleasant days as well. But all can be an opportunity for gratitude, to be super grateful for another day of either pleasantness or unpleasantness. Do you understand? Always be grateful, And there's no reason to project all the unresolved issues on Facebook. If you're a woman, you're pissed off at the men, there's actually really good men out here. I know, I'm one of them, And my standards are just ridiculously high because of the standards I hold myself to, for all kinds of different things, most specifically like a spiritual purity. Not that you don't make mistakes, but that you always find a way to come back to apologizing and owning up to those mistakes, In fact, that's how we learn, is by making mistakes. But when we have the pride and the inability to forgive and let go, that's just going to create a major blockage, and some people have a difficult time, apologizing or saying that they're wrong. For instance, that's one of Donald Trump's weaknesses. He cannot admit when he's wrong. But I understand Donald Trump, and I understand his strengths and weaknesses. But if you have Trump derangement syndrome, you only see the bad. But every single human being is a mixture of pros and cons. And if your colon is dirty and your eyes are clogged up and your pineal gland isn't working, you're not going to be able to see the combination of light and dark in every human being and embrace and accept them as they are. I just think that because Donald Trump is like probably the most famous dude in the world next to Jesus Christ. I mean, it used to be Michael Jackson and Jesus. Now it's Trump and Jesus, Two most famous people on planet Earth. That's why it's such a good example. And it's just amazing phenomenon, Trump derangement syndrome. And then hating me just because, I'm not even going to mention it because I don't even like to get into the politics, But it's just that guy is such a great example, of just the seething hatred of humanity. And then it's projected out, and everything is a war these days, Everything is a war these days, And yeah, every time I mention Donald Trump, I lose subscribers. Every time I do a clickbait title, I lose subscribers. In fact, the more content I promote, the more subscribers I lose over and over and over again. That's just what I'm dealing with, People just unsubscribe from me, and I just can't stop working and creating. So anyhow, this was a fun video to make. I do hesitate to mention the president, but it's the prime example, It's the prime example. There's no reason. If you don't like Donald Trump, just don't pay attention to him, But that feeds. People love hate. People love to hate because it pumps up their blood, it gets them boiling and gives them a feeling of aliveness that they don't get because of their diet and their lifestyle and their attitude and the things that they cling to. It's so heavy that there's no joy there. There's no fun. So to get that feeling of aliveness, hate, because hate doesn't require much energy. But if you want to build your energy and get to a place of joy, I'm going to go to the beach right now and just run, and just frolic. And which I've already been doing all day. I went to the beach and I was frolicking, and then I was then I went to I went over to the to the river, and that was just amazing experience because you get so purified. Anyways, I'm rambling on. 20 minutes is long enough. I should have turned, but I didn't do it. So anyhow, God bless you. Have a great day.